welcome to the post game. Oh, excuse me. Hang here on Clips and Dip. The Clippers beat the Spurs, which feels like something that should be easier than it has been, but they managed to get the win 128-116. And I'm going to be honest, this game was not as far away for the most part as the score suggests. The Clippers just had an out once Kawhi Leonard played late fourth quarter minutes. Kawhi actually closed the game out, which is awesome. We said on the pod that maybe he would be at 30 minutes next week by the Lakers game, but he was at 28-39 tonight. He would have played more if it would have been closer, I have to assume. But Kawhi Leonard really closed. He had 27, 6, and 7. Ivica Zubac, who should be an all-star, we've been clamoring for that, puts up 21 and 22. He almost had a double-double in offensive rebounds. Again, this game I don't know what it is about the Spurs, but they make it difficult for the Clippers. But they got the win. This game was ugly to start. The first quarter was not very good. But there were so many good things that happened. We got the 420 Club. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the 420 Club, that is when 4 Clippers, my cat's trying to say hi, that is when 4 Clippers score 20 points or more, and it happened tonight. The 420 Club is back. Justin Russo tweeting out, that's the first time since March 1st, 2020, that the 420 Club is met. Yes, the third quarter was bad. The fourth, once it got to clutch minutes, the Clippers remembered who they were, I guess, for lack of a better term. This team is absolutely a contender with Kawhi on the floor. I think we see obviously a big difference when he's off the floor. But we saw what he could do, especially late tonight. And I know we sound like a broken record kind of on this pod, but he just keeps looking better. I don't think any of us expected him to close out this game. I wish he wouldn't have had to close out this game. But when he needed to, or when he was needed, they brought him back in with like 2:55 left, and he was great. We're waiting for the box scores to update so we can look at his plus minus and the fourth, but there's no way that it was a minus. It was awesome to see. Just an incredibly encouraging win. We're back to 500 in conference play, which feels good or fine, I guess. Yes, Urban Figure, Zubac's incredible game. Finally, people can see how good Zubac is. I thought Mike Fratello brought up a great point about Zubac and his development. Now when Zoo gets the ball in the post, we expect him to be aggressive with the ball. It used to not be like that. Part of it was opportunity. Part of it was Zoo just not being confident or whatever it is. But now Zoo is showing what confidence and skill and hard work all coming together looks like. 9 offensive boards in this game. The Clippers got smoked in second chance points the other night. And tonight they killed the Spurs in it. So you like to see kind of that, like, I don't know, mental adjustment, whatever it was, come into play here. Despite, as someone pointed out earlier in the stream, Caleb Simpkins pointed this out, bad laps in the third. The third was not ideal. The first was not ideal. But again, the Clippers figured out who they were late a little bit. They remembered what they were there to do. Kawhi went 3 for 5 in the fourth. And it was so great to see. It was real closing minutes. I haven't even talked about Norm Powell yet, who had 27 and 8. Norm was great. I mean, the starters were phenomenal in this game. Derrick Jones Jr. he filled up the stat line. He didn't have to do a whole lot of scoring when you get 20 points from Kawhi, at least 20 points from Kawhi, Zoo, Norm, and James Harden. Harden cooled down their turnovers in this one. Harden was really loose with the ball to start, but he figured it out. The team started locking in a little bit more. It was great. This was a really fun win. I don't know why it's so hard for this team to play the Spurs, but it is. And they managed to kind of overcome that demon, I guess. Wemby is Wemby. But the other nice thing I think in this game that we saw when they first started, when the Clippers first started to kind of, I guess, as I keep referring to, like, remember who they are. They built the lead with Wemby on the floor, right? This wasn't a game where it was just like, let's hope and pray that, we can tie these minutes when Wemby's out there. They expanded the lead with Wemby on the floor, which is great. Yeah, there was some frustrating stuff, right? Like, this game, like I said, was closer than the final score will suggest. This was not a 12-point game. But yes, there were some absolutely frustrating turnovers by Harden. It looked like it was going to be another one of those nights, right? Like, we thought a little bit this game was maybe going to be not how we wanted it to go, but they figured it out, which is fantastic. There's a lot of good in this game. There's some bad. The turnovers, they got to get figured out. Someone mentioned that the bench stinks in the comments, and it's hard for me to not agree with that to some extent. Bench player who did great, who we hope finds their groove back, Nico Batum. Hit his first 3 threes, which you loved. They kind of forgot about him a couple times. But Nico hitting what he did. Did he end up with 4 threes? Yeah, he went he went 3 for 4. He hit his first 3. He also added 5 boards, which is awesome. I think that's a sign that he's moving better, because he's an older guy. No disrespect to Nico, but he was the best player off the bench. Terrence got first quarter minutes and wasn't very good, which is frustrating. Kevin Porter Jr., the roller coaster was real, but tonight the Clippers there was a point in the fourth where James Harden was off the floor and Kawhi was off the floor. Terrifying if you're a Clippers fan. But KPJ came up with 2 big buckets late, and the Clippers needed that. So that was great. Mikey Lapp saying, I think Batum heard you talking about him the other night. I don't know. I hope so. Shout out to Batums. Batum Battalion, stand up, actually. We haven't been able to say that in a while. If you're part of the Batum Battalion, come on in. The water's fine. It's been a while since we've gotten to it. You spelled battalion wrong, but I know what you meant. It's been a while since the battalions hung out. So shout out to everyone who's in the Batum Battalion. I hope we get to do that more again. It's really fun when Nico plays well. Usually good things are happening for the Clippers. Norm walked into 27. It's so crazy to watch him score. The way he plays, he's having the best season of his life, which is great. Mikey laugh. I'm standing. As we should. Everyone in the battalion stand up. Shout out where you're from if you're not from France. Yeah, Renzo, the old head. Also, Renzo, how old are you? Because I am 35, so I think I might be Chuck the old head as well. Yeah, the Terrence Mann thing is weird, right? I don't know if this matters, but I wonder how long Dunn being out, if that affects if they trade Terrence. Because they obviously like having the guards. And Terrence is not as good of a defender as Chris Dunn. He is very good. Not as good as Chris Dunn. But I wonder if the Chris Dunn injury plays in part to if Terrence gets moved. I'm not saying you're wrong. I think there is a strong chance he gets traded, hopefully for a backup center. I don't want Lonzo Ball would be cool, I guess, but I don't know. Yeah, it's hard for him to kind of turn it around, like you mentioned, without minutes. But he got first quarter minutes tonight, which is encouraging, but also it also makes it seem like he just never knows when he's going to come in again, right? So it's like, first quarter minutes this night. But he is kind of used to that, right? He's used to the chaos. He's from the Clippers chaos, basically. So the trade market's going to be interesting. Apparently there have been calls about Terrence. That's kind of the word going around. Yes, just LA Clippers film just tweeted out, being a Zubac truther is so rewarding. It really is. Shout out Carl Chart, who got a Zubac jersey. All right, Renzo's 28. I'm 35. So I'm all right. Great. Glad we got that out of the way. Who else do you guys want to talk about? There's a lot of good stuff tonight. But again, Kawhi closing this game, 28 minutes. Would have played more if the Clippers didn't just completely envelop the Spurs late in this one. We saw what stars do, right? We saw why you get James Harden with those late buckets. I'm going to pull up the play-by-play, something we never do ever for this. And there was a moment, I want to see if I can find it. Yep, it was right here. Norm hit a step-back jumper on Wemby. Spurs miss. Kawhi dunks. Spurs miss. Harden, three-pointer. And then it was 126-10, and the game was over. That last, how long is that? We'll take it back to that from 2:20 to a minute and 10 left. And that minute, Kawhi and James Harden just took over, and Norm too. It was fucking awesome to watch. If you can only watch the fourth quarter of this game, that's fine, because some of it was bad. But that minute has to feel good if you're a Clippers fan. That is what this team can do. I don't want to say they flipped a switch. I think they might be tired, but it certainly looked like they flipped a switch. I love it. There's a lot of Zoo love in the chat. Zoo is the best big man in the league. He's very good. I do not know if he's better than Nikola Jokic, but I do think he's very good. Every time Norm shoots, I just expect it to go in. Yes, I think the Clippers' first bucket was maybe a transition three by Norm, but no, you just think they're going to go in. Yes, Kawhi is dunking. He doesn't need to get that high off the ground. He's not here to jam. He's just here to dunk. But Kawhi is dunking. That's incredibly encouraging. The dunks, the plus minus numbers, it's all just trending in this direction for the Clippers starting five to be incredible and be a nightmare to play in the playoffs. Yeah, just good shit all around. Cow, I don't know how you pronounce that. I'm very sorry. Didn't catch the game. What's the best thing about it? I think the best thing about this game was Kawhi Leonard playing closing minutes and looking like someone who was there to end the game. Kawhi checked in and decided that the game was over. And it was awesome to see. Shan, we're going to get to your question in a second about the whistle because it's weird. I think Kawhi closing was the best part of this game. I think runner-up is Zubac having 21 and 22 in this game and helping the Clippers answer, kind of the rebounding battle, that issue that we saw the other night against Phoenix. I think winning what did they win second chance points by? 22-7 in second chance points, which is awesome. There's a lot of good stuff from this game. And if you can rewatch it because it's worth a rewatch. Yeah, I don't know. X Mongo Project saying no bones tonight. No disrespect. Where have you been? Is this a chat from last year? Yeah, no, but there was no bones tonight. Why would there be any bones tonight? Sorry, this is very funny to me. Yeah, okay. Where was the comment about the whistle? Why do we get the weirdest whistle, though? Some calls were good in our favor, but all the fouls not called was crazy. The refs in this particular game were insane. Wemby and Zoo were both really upset with the refs. There was a stretch where they were just letting them kind of beat the shit out of each other, which is cool. But I don't know. The last three games, and this podcast, if you're new to this podcast, I'm Chuck Mockler. Adam Oslin is hosting the AM 570 show for his actual job. Couldn't tell you what Will's doing. But we're just doing a quick little hang. We don't ever really put it on the refs, for if the Clippers lose or something like that. The last couple games, it's been wacky. The reffing in Phoenix was bad. The reffing versus the Celtics was bad. It's bad. I have no other notes other than I need to figure that shit out. Yeah, so Ryan Armenta, I'm assuming you're talking about Kawhi. You're holding your breath every time he leaves his feet. Yeah, and he had a weird fall the other night. It makes sense to do that. It's natural as a Clippers fan or a Kawhi fan to hold your breath every time he leaves his feet. But he's looking awesome. They're taking this ramp up like they should. We said on the pod yesterday that we didn't think he would sit after his third quarter minutes and then play the fourth. But here he is, doing exactly what that is. But yeah, that's never going to go away, Ryan. You're fine. It's not the Batum Brigade. It's the Batum Battalion. I'm sorry. Okay, Zoo does scream a lot. Let's not pretend that Zoo doesn't yell. You can hear Zoo's yells on the broadcast. We've mentioned it before. Ivica Zubac, he doesn't need to yell more. He needs to grow his hair to shoulder length and get that whipping around when he gets fouled. He needs longer hair. Yeah, so this is actually, Mo Bamba did not play at all. This is why the Clippers need a backup center. There's still a lot of games left. There's a shitty part of the schedule coming up in March. They need someone to actually play the backup five to spell some of these guys. If that's helping Zoo, closer to the playoffs, great. If that's helping Nico closer to the playoffs, because he's probably going to be playing in the five for that, like they need a real backup center. Obama can't do it. Kai Jones can get sent down. They need if they're going to trade Terrence, I hope it's for a backup center. That's a way more pressing need. To me, that's a way more pressing need because it's crazy. Kai Jones didn't get run when 6 of the guys were out. So yeah, they really need a backup center. Chris Dunn also out again tonight. Maybe he'll be back with the team for the game tomorrow, but I don't think that's going to be the case. Just there's been no indication of that. So yeah, I don't know, but hell of a win. Goofy's saying, scream like AD. Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. I got it. I'm not going to do it, but I see what you're saying. Great win. The Clippers are back to 500. I think we're back to 500 in the Western Conference, which I hope that's going to get better with Kawhi playing more minutes. He kissed 30 minutes tonight. He was just under 28. He was just under 29. The other thing about Kawhi, 7 assists from Kawhi tonight. Kawhi was getting other guys involved. He found KPJ underneath with a pretty absurd pass. I think one of the better passes you'll see Kawhi throw. But he was doing everything. He didn't just score. He didn't just play good defense. 6 boards, 7 assists. He did a shit ton tonight in 29 minutes, which is awesome. And it should be encouraging. And we should all be incredibly excited about this starting 5, which is solidified. I love Chris Dunn. He's very good, but he should not start. But this starting 5 is very good. It's solidified. Ryan is asking, is Zoo still playing hurt? I don't think so. He had 21 and 22. If Zoo is still playing hurt and he has 21 and 22, that would be great, but he's healthy. Do people watch the games? So Renzo, I really hope Dunn will be back on Tuesday versus the Lakers too. That is the first Clippers home game after the break. They have a 12:30 game on Sunday, which sucks. That's really just because of the time zone thing, and they'll get some extra time to rest. I hope he's back on Tuesday. You can tell in games like the Phoenix game they miss him. You just need that. You just want that extra defender out there. But yeah, I hope he's back Tuesday. We'll see what the rotation looks like. I think Terrence Mann's going to be out of the rotation once Chris Dunn comes back. We're getting kind of down to we're not getting quite down to it. There's going to need to be some serious decisions made in terms of the lineup because we're not going into the playoffs, I think, with we're not going to play 10 guys in the playoffs. Yes, Kawhi did make the crowd shut up, which was awesome. They kept booing him, and he just kept scoring and finding other Clippers to help them score. He had a block tonight. He went right at Wemby a couple times. Him and Norm both went at Wemby late, and it was just like, fucking A. Like, hell yeah, let's do this shit. Again, if you didn't watch the game, it started pretty poorly. The Clippers were down for the first like quarter and a half almost in this game. It was only 5, but it was just one of those nights where it kind of started like, oh shit, this might not go as how we want it. And then they just figured it out. They didn't just figure it out. They were pretty good. And then they really lost it in the third. And then, halfway through the fourth, they just decided the game was over. So it got a little wonky at some points for sure. Playing the Spurs is very weird for this Clippers team. I don't understand why. But a lot of encouraging stuff. The starting 5, again, we should all be very excited about the starting 5. There needs to be some moves made for the bench. Someone is asking, do you think Terrence is getting traded? I think so. I think he's the most tradable piece on the bench. You're not trading Amir Coffey. Amir didn't have a good night, but you're not trading Amir Coffey because there's no way that you're getting someone at the same value. I don't know if anyone... Amir's Coffey is insane. Amir Coffey's contract is insane. For what he's bringing the Clippers, Amir makes hold on, I'm looking it up right now. Amir makes $3.5 million a year. Find another $3.5 million a year player that you're going to ship Amir Coffey out for. I think Amir Coffey's staying. He obviously has a higher spot in the rotation than Terrence Mann does. I think Kevin Porter Jr. is staying because he has a higher spot in the rotation than Terrence Mann does. I know people don't like the KPJ thing. You just got to get over it. We're over halfway through the season. I don't know what you expect at this point. Crazy. I don't know what you expect. So if you look at that in those regards, and the 2 guys that are ahead of him, Chris Dunn, also ahead of Terrence Mann in the rotation, he's probably getting traded. It hurts. I love Terrence. He's one of my favorite Clippers, maybe of all time. He's the longest tenured Clipper other than Zoo. They might be same. But it seems like he's going to get moved. It's unfortunate. They need a backup center. If the rumor about the 2 seconds or whatever for Valanciunas is true, there's no way that he wouldn't be part of that deal. I don't think they just don't they need Terrence in a vacuum, but they don't need Terrence with how they're actually kind of playing right now, if that makes sense in their heads. Because again, look at the guys ahead of him in the rotation. And I'm not I love Terrence, but there's 3 other guards, 2.5 other guards in the rotation. Yeah, it sucks if we trade Terrence Mann. Game 6 versus the Jazz was amazing. It's one of the greatest Clippers games of all time. But weird shit happens. I don't know. I also don't think anyone else is getting traded because this locker room is really tight-knit. James Harden the other day said that it was the best team he's ever played on, kind of in terms of those vibes. Norm Powell has mentioned the locker room being really strong recently. There's nothing to mess with other than backup center. So yeah, I just don't think, and there's not gonna be no drastic moves. So yeah, we hope it shakes out normal. I'm getting out of here. This was a fantastic win. Thank you all for hanging out. We'll maybe be back with a post game on Friday. I don't know. I got some family in town. Check out our other episodes. I'm Chuck Mockler. Go watch Adam Oslin on Clippers Talk on AM 570. Go, I don't know, figure out what Will Updike's doing. Watch our old episodes. Subscribe if you want to come hang out and get alerts when we do these. After the post game, it's a lot of fun. Thanks for hanging out. Let's all be so excited about Kawhi actually closing. And when I say closing, he ended that game. Starting 5 looked phenomenal. The 420 club met. 4 players scored 20 points. Celebrate that how you will. I am going to go celebrate that myself. We'll talk to y'all next time.